I think it's probably a really good place to start by saying, in terms of my background, I was an NCA facilitator, regional facilitator, levels 1, 2 and 3 in English, so I'm very familiar with the NCA program, and now very familiar with the IB program, having taught English literature and being an IB examiner. My son James is 19. We've spent the past 8 years in Hong Kong and had just returned. If I summed my son up, he's what I'd call a typical teenage boy. He likes his computers. He certainly likes going out. He had an amazing life in Hong Kong, really. His dedication to school was limited insofar as he saw it being a priority. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. I know that if James had been in New Zealand completing NCA, he would have been one of those students who would not have pushed to go from a merit to an excellence. He would have been a student who would have just been happy with a merit, not an achieved, but a merit. So I can say, after 2 years with James, the most challenging thing as a mum and a teacher was that he was incredibly disorganised. And IB really teaches you that skill. Whether it's you're already well organised, but it is unlike anything I've seen with a young man before, because he was literally transformed. His room is still shambolic and you can't find anything, and I don't know what he does with his washing because I never see it. But in terms of education, it was like something clicked and he could work things out. So that was the first thing that I loved about IB for him. The second thing was he was a student who felt that if it didn't count towards the qualification, it wasn't important. His co-curricular activities weren't huge. He certainly was no sports star, but with the creativity, action and service program, he had no choice. And he had to complete 150 hours. And for him, he did some incredible things, not necessarily things that cost money, but things that he would never have considered doing. For example, he took on board doing a scrap build art project. So he self-taught tutorials from the internet, bought a whole lot of junk. He actually bought it. I found it really hard to believe. Found bits and pieces, documented in a photo journal his process of learning the skills of doing that, produced the photo journal, and that was one of the things for creativity, not something James would have ever done. So he got involved in things that he loved, that he didn't know he loved, or because he needed to fulfill the requirements. The third thing that I like about the IB program, and certainly James did, is that you complete an extended essay, and you may have heard that it's huge, 4,000 words. It's scary, but you're researching on a topic of something that you are interested in. James and I had a great fight, stand-up argument when he chose to do his physics, his extended essay in physics, because I know as an IB marker, the scientists mark the science extended essays, and it is much easier to do an English literature-based one. And James said, my extended essay, my topic. And that's not something that I think he would ever have done before. So initiative and independence was something that grew with the program. Theory of knowledge, James said, not very interested in the stuff about religion, certainly was interested in ethics and the ideas associated with that. And I said to him, so what do you think of theory of knowledge? What shall I tell the students at the meeting? And he said, I'm not sure if I'm a better critical thinker. And it just occurred to me that you wouldn't even say that if you weren't a better critical thinker, is the truth. So I like the program. I'm fully supportive of it. I get to teach English literature, which is my passion. I think if I was a parent, I would feel extraordinarily lucky. There are 20 students in this program next year, and everyone is backing them. And they are going to have an enormous amount of support. The counsellors, stress is a problem. They're going to have a relationship with their peers and their teachers, and I think it's an incredible opportunity. And I think as students, you are incredibly lucky to be in the state system in New Zealand and to have that. So as a mum, I'd say go for it, because we're here to look after your kids. And I don't think you could ask for better in education in New Zealand. I think that's enough.